win condition. With Janaelle and Will.
Welcome back to Alternate Win Condition. This is episode 10. This is the episode that makes us an official podcast once we finally get it loaded. But you already know it's loaded because you're listening to me.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
I'm Janaelle, and this is my co-host Will.
Well, I was at one time since our last recording, I was actually in the Star City of Roanoke with Star City Games, and now I'm basically in Wizards of the Coast backyard in Washington State.
Yay, moving across the country.
Moving across the country, 5 days, 40 some odd hours. Yeah.
Yeah. When I moved from California to Texas, that was balls.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm happy the way I split it up. The only bad thing that happened the entire trip was I got a tire busted out on me in Montana. So it added one additional day to my trip because they're literally the only tire place that fixed it was a Walmart in Miles City, Montana. And they didn't have the tire, so they had to order it the next day. I was like, gross. Oh my gosh, like seriously?
Yeah, we took the cat with. The cat was unhappy. Cat was hiding in her little cat carrier the whole time. She was a miserable little kitten. But it's okay. We're home now, and you're home now. And
yes.
Yay! All right, so we are going to very briefly go into what we did this week.
Magic the Gathering. Get the cards, play the game. Hope to win, but as we all know, it's not about winning.
Draft.
Commander.
Trading.
Legacy.
Modern.
Standard.
Tilt.
Table flip.
This Week in Magic starts now.
So what have you been up to, Will?
Well, let's see. Let me go all the way back to before I left Roanoke, Virginia. And the very last thing I did before I left there was I played in the Origins pre-release.
How'd you do?
Well, honestly, not that great. I did 3 pre-releases. The one at midnight on early Saturday morning when it started at midnight. I ended up going 1-2. I actually liked the deck that I had built because it was a blue-white Flyers deck.
That's good and limited.
Very good and limited. It's like I had 4 aspiring aeronauts.
Let's not go into the details. We got a lot to get through. So
yes, all right. So it ended up going 1-2. Not too bad, but unfortunately, 2 and 2 and less get the exact same thing, which is a pack. So Saturday. I had plans Saturday afternoon, so I was not able to actually stay for any of the pre-release. So I basically went to go get my box, get my play mat, and head on out. Sunday, I decided because there's this person who at the store, and what's bad is I don't even remember his name at this point. Sorry, whoever this was. But he was looking for a partner for a 2-headed giant, so I changed my individual pre-release to play a 2-headed giant with him.
Uh-huh.
We ended up doing pretty well. We ended up doing 1-2, but the big thing that happened from that was our third round opponent. I mentioned before how I played Chris Van Meter and Brad Nelson in different other events. Well, in the 2-headed giant event, and of course I had to play out one more of the Star City Pros before I left. It was Tom Ross and his girlfriend. It was kind of funny because we both sort of had the same ideas with all our decks. Like, one of us was playing control, one was playing kind of a more mid-rangey type deck, mid-range to aggro type deck. I was the one playing control for our team. Tom Ross was the one playing control for his team, and our partners were the ones playing the other deck. So I was like, all right. So needless to say, we lost that match. I mean, he won 2 Star City Invitationals in 2014. So I mean, he knows what he's doing. So it's like overall not too bad.
Good.
During my cross country trip, I left on a Thursday, and Friday I actually stopped by kind of another well-known sort of gaming store in Minnesota by the name of the Meadery. I know there's a few other people who write for it, like Jeff Hooglin, stuff like that. So kind of another well-known store. since then, I've been in the Washington area. I think I've found a new store here called Dark Towers Games, which as of right now, it works pretty well. Unfortunately, between where my work is and where the game shop is, during the winter, that's a part of the highway that apparently is very dangerous. It's very mountainous and everything else. And so I don't know if I'm going to be playing there for during the winter. I may find somewhere a little bit closer, hopefully. But
well, there's always during the summer and the fall, so
always during the summer and fall stuff. So yeah,
and maybe you'll find a way around.
Hopefully,
but you're liking your new store so far?
I am liking it so far. It's a lot more casual. Even this past weekend on Saturday, I actually did something I haven't done in quite some time. I actually played some Command. So Star City is definitely a very Spike centric store. I mean, of course,
what does that mean?
There's the different Magic personalities. You know, you have like your Johnnies, who are the people who like to play decks with big creatures. You have the Timmies, who are the ones who like interesting interactions between cards. They're like combo players and everything else. Spikes are traditionally your most competitive type of player. They're in it just for the sole purpose of winning the game.
Ew.
Like they want to play tournaments.
Those guys.
Yeah, and so Star City's store is a very Spike-centric store, and understandably so. I mean,
no. That's never understandable on a Friday night. Not ever. I don't care. I don't care.
Not so much on a Friday night. I don't think any place is actually Spike-centric on a Friday night, but on, Wednesday, Thursday nights, and on the tournaments on the weekends, of course, it's very Spike.
Wednesday, Thursday, same thing. That's casual play. You go to a tournament and be a jerk about it.
I wouldn't say jerk. I just would say that there are people who have they play like
winning at all costs is being a jerk. That's how that works.
Not necessarily. I mean,
that's how that works. There are plenty of things you can do to win and win every time without winning at all costs.
It's like, well, yeah, it's like I think, and I may be misusing the term Spike in this case, I guess, but it's like, being the person to know kind of what the best decks of the format are and to play those decks. It is like, it's not necessarily like, oh, win at all costs, doesn't matter about anything else, but it's the people who want to be the most competitive, I guess, is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, I got a couple of guys like that at the store, and they're some of the nicest players. And it just because you want to win doesn't mean you have to be a dick about it.
No, of course not. And I don't think, I wouldn't say any of the guys that I played with at Star City, for the most part, were dicks about winning and everything else. I've seen some people get very salty about losing.
Same thing.
But
that's the same thing. If you have to win, you can't fucking handle losing. You're being a jackass.
Well, okay. In that case, then by that definition, then yes, it is like that's.
Sorry, that's being a jackass.
There are some people at the store. There are a lot of people at the store too that also did not feel that way about it.
It's okay to not be happy about winning, but there's no reason to get salty with your opponent.
Oh no, definitely not get salty with the opponent. But I mean, you can tell kind of when they got frustrated and stuff like that. I mean, and I'm probably more Spike centric than anything. But I mean, even like when I was at Charlotte for the Grand Prix, I didn't mind losing. I did mind getting knocked out of the tournament by the deck that I lost to. Because I seriously at the time just thought, what a shitty artifact mill deck this is. So it was like, so I was a little salty after that. But by the end of the 9th round, I was over it. I was like, you know what? I did it. I went 6-3. I'm happy. Let's go on.
Good.
So,
I finally got into Magic again now that Origins is out. I've got my Abzan deck that got no new cards.
Yeah.
And is still winning. I've been playing a little bit of EDH. It's been going very, very well. In EDH, I play mono red Krenko. And it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh.
Alright, hold on.
Are we having a cat interruption? this baby cats.
I'm sorry.
Just let you know.
Thanks. I'm back.
Okay, cool.
Right, okay. So I'm playing Mono Red Cranko, and he's amazing. I've got the deck set up. Most people play the deck and they don't play it right because everybody sees him coming and then they kill him. So I play Cranko where Cranko doesn't hit the field until I'm going to win. Either this turn or the next turn. So I'll play Perforos and I'll have something that will let me untap Cranko and retap him again. And he's got haste. So I'm going to put out 30 goblins, fuck everybody. You know, something like that.
So, yeah, something that's going to be like, the game is over at this point.
The game is over, Cranko's out, bye. And he's good. He's really good. He throws surprises, and people think, oh, it's just a goblin deck. If I set up so that you can't attack me, then fine, whatever. And I'll be like, I have 17 goblins on the field. I can't attack you. Devour all the goblins, hit you for 28.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Devour. Anyway, so I really like Cranko. I would like to play more EDH, but I swear to fucking God, all the combo shit makes me so angry.
It's like, yeah, it really is like, and I when I was playing this past weekend, it was actually sort of a mirror match because I was playing the what was basically the Duretti pre-made box pack thing. Which, by the way, if you want to get into Commander, that thing is amazing. That deck does broken stuff immediately.
Yeah, and so people will be like, oh, not Duretti specifically, but they'll, oh, I'll take the next 4 turns. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't want to play this game anymore.
Or
I'm going to do this, and this, so you can't play anymore?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened when I was playing. It was me and just another person playing heads up, but he Mind Slaver locked me, essentially. It's like...
You can't untap. You can't play any blue spells. You can't. Fuck you. I don't want to play this game anymore.
Or in this case, Mind Slaver is the I'm playing your turn and I'm playing my turn. So
yeah, so it makes me angry and irritated, and I don't want to. That's why I don't play Commander regularly.
So. Well,
it's not a nice field format.
Well, I know one of the things you also mentioned is you were going to try to draft some Origins with...
We haven't gotten around to it.
Okay.
We're hoping to draft Origins with Conspiracy this weekekend.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing, because you don't draft without drafting Conspiracy.
No, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah. That would be, that would be actually really cool to draft that with. So, yeah. I did get to do one in-person actual Magic Origins draft since I've been here in Washington. It was probably not the most ideal circumstance because it was a 12-person draft.
Okay.
So, however, the things that I keep getting past were amazing. It's like, oh, okay.
You shouldn't draft more than 8. That shouldn't be a thing.
No, it's like, but one somehow I got shorted about 3 cards in it, but that's neither here nor there because the deck I ended up with was actually pretty good. It had 3 or 4 of the token.
We're not going into specifics.
Yeah, it was good.
How'd you do with it?
Well, I only ended up going 1 and 2 with it, so I don't know if there was something I was missing or I didn't have green white.
Green white. Oh, okay, yeah. Origins green anything Origins Rex face.
Well, anything. It was specifically a renowned deck because pretty much all my creatures were renowned.
Yeah, that's the best limited you can draft right now.
It is. It really is. It's like because when you can have a 2-drop that's essentially a 3/3 vigilance after you hit it on on turn 3, that's just insanely powerful.
Yeah.
It's just
that card's so good.
And when your draft table passes 4 to you.
Oh man, you're playing with not good people. Holy shit.
I know. I was like, seriously? Like between that and then the elf that when it comes in, it lets you look at
top
2 cards. And if the top card that you get to scry to and then if the top card's a creature, you get to take it to your hand.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, oh my gosh, there was just so many good things with that deck. As I don't know if I was playing it correctly or I didn't get enough good removal to counter what my opponents were doing, but the deck itself I thought was pretty solid. So.
Oddly, Origins removal is in white.
It really is, yeah. There's
It's
a few
really weird.
I'd say it's white mainly, with red being second and black, strangely enough, being third.
Now, black is usually a removal, but it's not very good removal.
No, it's 5
really
mana
not.
or the very conditional removal of deal like kill a creature power 3 or less, which actually in this format is not terrible because if people are playing a lot of the renowned creatures, but still.
Well, hopefully you guys had as much fun playing Magic as we have. Now we're going to get to some news. If you didn't hear, and I don't know how the fuck you missed it, the Pro Tour for Magic Origins was finished this week, right?
Yeah, it finished on Sunday.
Sunday, okay.
It was up in Vancouver, which if I would have had my passport, I would have been very tempted to cross the border because I'm right up here next to it to go directly to and watch it live. But unfortunately, since I don't have my passport with me,
you couldn't.
I could, so.
The winner was Joel Larson with Mono Red. Wah, wah.
Well, only a partial wah wah on this one.
Mono Red winning twice in a row. No, that's a wah wah for Wizards.
It sort of is. However, I think the issue with it is they've actually given Mono Red some really good tools. I mean, really, really insanely good tools. Like things they've never had before. For example, the thing that really sort of, I think, helped it this time was a card called Abbot of Carol Keep.
Explain what that does to the people who don't know.
It is 1 in a red for a 2/1 prowess. When it enters the battlefield, you exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn. So the ideal situation is you never play it on turn 2, right? Because even if you get a land, you're not gonna use it. But I saw a lot of times during the weekend where they did that. It's like, all right, play, hit, exile top card. Top card is a land. Put land into the battlefield. So now you have an additional land for a thing. Now, the most insane thing that I saw during the weekend, I actually think this was during the top 8, was someone played a Abbot of Carol Keep with 5 mana total. The flip card was another Abbot of Carol Keep. So used 2 additional mana to cast that. Then the next card up was like a Wild Slash, I think. So he was literally able to use all of his mana to be like, and I get 2 creatures and a burn spell out of this. Like, good luck. Like, oh my gosh. So, like, really, really, you're gonna do this? So, it's something that really one of the big weaknesses of Mono Red has always been you use up your resources incredibly quickly. That's kind of the point, is you dump your hand, you try to go as quickly as possible and kill your opponent. Well, between Abbot of Carol Keep and they had like Outpost Siege, which was the enchantment from Fate Reforged that either lets you draw, like at the beginning of your upkeep, you exile the top card and you can play it this turn. Blue is getting card draws that allows it to go later in the game.
Oh, cool.
And so that's what's making Mono Red really good right now.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Now there is one other thing that people have been saying. I don't know, and unfortunately, until we actually get to play with the new Mulligan rule ourselves, I can't confirm this is true. But apparently, the new Mulligan rule does favor like Mono Red and aggro strategy.
Of course, it does.
It is like so. I don't know. Did we talk about the Mulligan rule since the?
I believe so. Rule? Isn't it the first Mulligan's free?
No, the new Mulligan rule is if you mulligan to anything, if you mulligan your hand at all, beyond your first one, you still go down 1 each time. So you go down to 6, go down to 5, go down to 4, however far you fall down. However, before the game starts, once you decided you will keep the hand you have, you get to scry 1.
Oh, that's it. Right. It's not okay. It's not free mull. It's the scry.
Yeah, as you get a scry, and it doesn't matter how far down you go, you only get to scry 1. But still, though, if you know you have a 1-lander, and you know, especially with a deck like Mono Red, where you don't necessarily need that second land immediately, you can drop that land to the bottom and keep going. Or if you know, hey, I don't really have a 1-drop, I need to play my, Eidolon of the Great Revel on turn 2 to get some damage in. then you can be like, all right, well, I have my land here, I'm good. So
yeah, I still don't think it's going to help them
I
that
don't
much
think so.
more. I don't think it's an advantage that matters, really.
I don't think it is either. I think it's a marginal advantage at best. I think it is more. I think you get additional benefit if you are on the draw versus on the play, because you do get to look at the first card that you're drawing.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
And so, and you get to do it before that. But I think you're right. I think that is a marginal effect. It's a good effect, but it's a marginal effect, and I don't think it's going to be.
You're still starting with one less card.
Yeah, it's like and that's the thing is you're already starting down a card, either on the play or the draw. It doesn't really matter, but you're still starting down a card, and in the long term, that can help you. I mean, and even the way that the entire Pro Tour Magic Origin ended, the guy had to mull down to his opponent had to mull down to 4 or 3. Guess what? The mulligan rule didn't help him. It's like he still got ran over pretty quickly.
So I think that Blizzard needs to take Blizzard. Why do I keep saying Blizzard? Oh, because the WoW news came out today. I apologize, everybody. My video gaming has influenced this podcast today, and I apologize when I say that again. Wizards needs to be a little more careful with what they do with the mono red. I really like that it's been a budget deck, that's been really easy for new players to get into. I've recommended it to several new players to start with because it's so cheap. But at the same time, pick another fucking color.
I would say, and actually, very interestingly enough, and we're going to talk about it in a minute when we talk about artifacts or a thing, now in Origins. But the second place deck is actually a pretty budget deck in and of itself too. Now, maybe not after Pro Tour, but as of right now, it's a relative budget deck too. But the kind of the final thing I wanted to mention about mono red, there's one particular card that was actually not in the mono red deck at all, and it's sort of been a staple of mono red as long as he's been around. But Goblin Rabble Master was nowhere.
That's because it depends on the red deck you're playing.
Well, I mean,
there's 2 red decks being played right now, and there has been the whole time. The deck that wins more often at my store is the cheap red deck wins version. It's not red weenies. It's not. It's the cheaper red weenies. It's not the red deck wins.
Right. It's like, but it's just really interesting that like all the best red decks that were there this weekend, like none of them were actually playing Goblin Rabble Master, which is too slow. I think he's too slow, and he also plays right into things like Languish stuff. They
all play into Languish. That was the point of Languish.
Well, of course they do, but the fact of the matter is, like, it played more. The decks were playing more like Goblin Heel Cutter, which guess what? Goblin Heel Cutter doesn't. If you dash it, at least it doesn't play into Languish because he's back in your hand.
Languish is a sorcery. I thought
it's
it was
a sorcery.
instant.
Yeah, no, it's sorcery.
Oh, then fucking people need to learn better and play goddamn Bioblight.
Yeah.
End of story.
And that may have been part of the issue too. Is that maybe a lot of these decks were cutting Bioblight for the new Languish,
and they shouldn't have been.
Probably.
I didn't. I put Languish in the main board and I put Bioblight in the sideboard because Bioblight costs 2. Well, guess what? On turn 2, I need to be killing shit.
Right.
Not turn
Absolutely.
4. If I knew that, they should have known that.
I absolutely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So, so do we want to go on to our second big news item before we get into?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody, give it an introduction.
Okay. As you know, Wizards traditionally sometimes bans people for different things. They ban people for cheating.
There is no official ban list.
There is no official
rules.
There's not really official rules. I mean, there's sort of the common ones. All right, if you cheat, you're going to get banned.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, those are just kind of the common ones. However, there is no actual hard, fast rule as to we will ban you for X, Y, and Z.
As we all know.
As we all know, yes. So, it was very interesting. I don't remember the guy's name. Do you remember the guy's name?
No, that's why I was having you introduce it because I thought you would remember.
No, I do not. I do not remember the guy's name. But anyway, and maybe it's better just not to bring his name up. Just kind of let the story be as is.
Well, right? Some guy who is playing in the Pro Tour
very very well known player, doing very well in the GPs, Pro Tours. It was revealed that he.
Okay, it was
I don't
not
know how-
revealed. There was some Twitter asshole who dug into his background and found out that once upon a time he went to jail for raping someone.
Correct.
All right, so we have twofold problem here. We have that's fucking bullying. That shouldn't be allowed, and that dude needs to get his own ban.
I absolutely completely. And what's bad is I know who that. I could name that guy right now who did it. Drew Levin was
Drew Levin is a fucking asshole.
He was the one who found out the information about the guy's past.
Now, on the other side of that, I'm glad he got a ban.
Me too.
I don't care if he's playing only on Magic Online. Magic Online Pro Tour tournaments take you to the pros, where you play in person.
Absolutely. It's like, and I think that's the thing is, I mean,
we had a lot of people online who were worried about any felony getting. If you have any felony, you will get banned. Now, I understand why that is a worry. Sure. Okay. But this is a specific felony that makes people like me incredibly uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
I don't mean just a little uncomfortable. I mean, if I know somebody at my store who plays regularly, I'm not going to go without someone else I know coming with me. And by that, I mean large and male.
Yeah. It's like, and even though felonies are felonies, there are degrees of felonies. And I actually brought this up during the time they were talking heavily about it on Twitter. I said, I personally think there are 3 major felonies that should get you permabanned from competitive Magic. One is murder, which of course, I mean, most murders are
I don't think
probably
that needs to be explained.
jail for life. So probably
doesn't need to be explained.
Huh?
Doesn't need to be explained.
Yep.
That's it. It's murder.
The second one, which again, because of the amount of children and parents bringing their kids and stuff to these things, anyone with a child abuse, child molestation.
I think you can sum that up and put most people with a level 2 risk or higher on the sex offender list.
I would agree with that. Yes, absolutely.
Level 1's fine, whatever. Level 2 or higher, I don't know if they do that anywhere else. Here in Texas, we have levels depending on what you did and how risky you are to offend again. If that's not done anywhere else, that needs to be fixed. Because there are some people on the sex offender list who shouldn't be on the sex offender list.
Of course. There's, I've heard stories of people like public urination get you on the sex offenders list. All right, that's
yes, it does.
It's like public urination is not a sex offender type. I mean, it gets you on the list.
People get on the sex offender list for flashing.
Yes.
You know,
and so
whatever.
All right. So anyway, but we're on the same point here. And then the third one is rape, and
that's sex offender. That's
and
the
sex
same
offender.
thing.
So same thing. It's like, and as I said, I didn't know that there were different levels of sexual.
I don't know if they do it anywhere else. I'm pretty sure in California they don't. That might have changed since I lived there. But here in Texas, it's not just a level. They also tell me what you did.
Right. It's like, and I think especially with those, there's 2 big reasons. One, I think you already nailed, which is the high recidivism rate. Like people who I don't
think that matters. The high whether or not they're going to do it again. I think what matters is being around someone who has
done that, which is, you're absolutely correct.
Makes you not want to play, and the whole point of Magic the Gathering is for everybody to play. And I understand, I said everyone. Everyone means that some people can't play, or no one gets to play.
Absolutely agree with you. And it's like, it's one of those things, it's something that, one, having him there, if other people, if they know the history, then they're not going to feel comfortable playing there, knowing, hey, this guy who has a history of being a convicted rapist, you know.
Yeah, and I understand that he has atoned in his own way, and he has tried to be better, and he's spoken out about how he's changed and how he got through the system and all that, but
But again, it's a person's worth. It's like, and I mean,
No,
yes,
it's not a person's worth.
not a word. No worth. Not it's their word. It's they are saying they have changed.
And I don't think we should judge them whether or not they have changed or not.
No, I don't think it is. No, I don't think we should.
You're excluding a large part of the population by allowing someone like that to stay playing. And by that population, I mean women like myself who have had that type of thing happen to them. I would never, ever attend any event he was at, and simply because it would freak me out.
Right.
I had a guy walk into the store who looked like the guy who did it, and I left. It's not a thing that makes there's a red line, and he crossed it, and this is part of suffering for that crossing it.
Right. It's like, I mean, that's the thing is there's always room for forgiveness. There's always room to say you have atoned. You are a better person today than the day you were. However, that does not free you from the consequences of the actions that you have taken in your past.
And this is a consequence.
And this is a consequence of that action. Now, besides looking at it from this route, one of the other interesting routes that I think some people have seen it, some people have not seen it, but the other fact of the matter is this is a big, big liability issue for Wizards.
Yes. That's the business side of it.
That's the business side of it. It's like, okay, let's say they didn't ban him and he went and he won Pro Tour Magic Origins. And, I mean, it literally gets published on the internet. It gets published everywhere that this guy who has a history of being a convicted rapist has won what is essentially a game. You know, a game that is played by all ages.
It is legally a game.
That is legally a game. You know, that's going to come back looking bad on them.
More than that, if anybody gets hurt by him.
Correct. It's like, and that's the other thing is, he says he's a better person. However, let's say
from a legal standpoint, you can't take that chance.
You can't take that chance. And if something were to happen, let's say he traveled to a Grand Prix in a different city or something like that, and he ends up, God forbid, committing the crime again.
That's the same thing. That's liability.
That's liability because he wouldn't have been in the city to begin with if it was not for this event. So thus, Wizards can be held responsible. If it was a Star City Games event, Star City Games could be held responsible.
And we're not saying he will.
We're not saying, no.
We're not saying he's lying about changing. We're saying from a legal perspective,
right,
it's too risky.
It's too risky, and they will be opening themselves and their organizers up to different legal issues if something were
not to mention bad publicity.
And terrible publicity is be like, yeah, it's like, because I mean, let's say he did win a Pro Tour. Don't you think the main news media outlets, both inside Magic the Gathering and even outside Magic the Gathering, the first question they're going to be asked is, how could y'all have a convicted rapist playing this game? Like, you know.
How could you be supporting him?
How could you be supporting him?
Yes.
And the answer to that is, I don't think they can.
They can't.
It's like, and that's the reason why this had to be done. I know people.
One momtivist. It gets a hold of it. It gets all over Facebook, and all those kids who are making Wizards buku bucks aren't playing anymore.
It's gone. Yep, they're done. Yep. So,
but beyond that, you know,
and I mean, I hope for his sake he has changed. I hope he is true to what he has said that he has been trying to do and everything else. But the fact of the matter is,
in my opinion, I believe him. I believe that he's changed, and I don't think it matters.
And it's like, and I mean, in the eyes of his friends and everything else, that's great. I hope he has. But the fact of the matter is, when it comes to public perception and to Wizards of the Coast as a whole, it's not a chance they can take. And then I honestly expected almost Wizards to sort of release a statement saying why they did it.
I don't. I think that would be sticking their foot in their mouth.
I think they would be too, and I'm sort of glad they have, because you know, because if Wizards came out and said, this is why we have banned this person,
other people could get banned for shady reasons.
Yes, absolutely. And so, or people would start reporting other people to be like, hey, you know.
Yeah, and that's why I think that fucker on Twitter needs to get banned.
It's like
because this should not be a trend.
No, it should not. And if there are these things that come out, that's the reason why we have the DCI. We have the people inside Wizards who do these investigations and everything else. It should not be almost like a mob scene, I guess is probably the best way to describe it. It shouldn't be a mob mentality to be like, okay, hey, if enough people point this out, then a person will get banned. That's not the way the game should be run.
Yeah.
They have their
I'm
own
still
stuff
for
set.
what's his face live in or whatever the fuck to get a band.
I'm actually behind it as well. I doubt they're gonna do it.
Yeah, but I still think he should get one. I have a lot of friends who have had felonies on their record. None of them were sex offender felonies, but that's not the point. And They were all very worried, rightly so, when this came out, that they were also going to get a ban.
Right.
But it's as I tried to express to them, as some of my friends expressed to them, it's an issue of a public view, and it's an issue of what he did specifically.
Yes, it's specific felony. I mean, if it was like, if he was caught with marijuana or something like that, that was his felony, I don't think anybody would be saying a single thing about this. It's like, I really don't. It's like, I don't think anybody would care. But considering the nature of the crime.
But some asshole on Twitter shouldn't be able to come up with something just because they don't like a Magic player, whether or not it's true, and get away with it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's completely unreasonable, completely out of line. And as I said, I sort of hope there are going to be consequences for his actions.
Like he doesn't get invited to events anymore, and doesn't get a press badge or some shit like that. That'd be nice.
Well, I think he's still a professional player, or quote unquote professional.
He's a writer.
Well, he also writes for Star City, and
whatever. Fuck him. Whoever that guy is, fuck him.
It's like. But I don't think you should be rewarding people for leading mobs against other people. It's like that.
And that's what's happening right now. Yeah.
So, anyway, we're for the bans. We're just against the way it was brought to light, I guess. Maybe the best way to put it. So.
All right. So our topic this week is we're going to tell you what we think about Origins, and we're going to start with Jace is broken as fuck. And we were so wrong about Jace.
Well, I would say not just Jace, because I think when we were talking, and this may have been, I don't know if this is the one that we lost.
Get to the point. You're explaining before you get to the point.
It's like,
I can't follow you.
Sorry. It's like, when we were originally listing walkers, I think we both agreed, and this may have been on a lost episode or something like that. We were originally listing the walkers kind of top to bottom. I think we both agreed that at the time we thought Jace was by far the worst of the walkers.
No. I thought Nissa was the worst of the walkers.
Well, we were wrong about that one too, but that's a...
I disagree. I still think Nissa's going to prove shitty.
It's like, but what we learned is Jace is actually really...
Jace is fucking amazing. He's just not really good. He's fucking amazing.
He is. Now, admittedly, at the Pro Tour, there was no copy of Jace in the top 8.
Well,
There wasn't.
That's neither here nor there.
That's neither here nor there. Jace is actually a really good card. Besides just as a Merfolk looter, which is its baseline, is like being able to draw a card then discard a card, which between
turn 3.
It is
good turn 3.
And enable some graveyard shenanigans, which we'll talk about in a couple of the other decks and stuff like that. But even like for a control deck, it sets up your dig through times, which by the way you could. And I had this happen because I finally put Jace in my Esper Dragons deck, or 4-color Dragons, what it is now. Good lord, you can set it up to where you can dig through time after you flip them. Like, goodness gracious, it's just amazing what this card can do.
Yeah,
he's
good. He's good.
He's really, really good. So
we've stressed that enough, I think. Nissa is pretty good. I don't think she's as good as she's priced at right now. I don't think she's going to remain very popular for long.
I actually disagree with that. Here's why. Because Abzan Control is actually still a really good deck.
No, it is good in Abzan Control, but that's like saying it's good in Super Friends.
Well, possibly.
You put it in one deck that's good, that doesn't make the card good. That makes the deck good, and the deck can use her.
Well, the other thing about Nissa, and this is something that I did not foresee when I was originally ranking the walkers, was Nissa. Like, a lot of times, the more extra copies you get of, like, planeswalkers or legendary creatures and stuff like that, the worse it gets. Because, like, if you're holding 2 of these in your hand, you know, sometimes 2 of them, say, a planeswalker in your hand, it's not really a good deal because you can't cast a second copy.
But you can.
But
if it's a legendary creature. And the other's a planeswalker.
Yeah. Well, but the other thing is Nissa's Enter the Battlefield effect, just go get a forest,
is good.
It's pretty good in and of itself. So even if you have no intention of flipping the first Nissa that you play, you can still get a land out of it.
Yeah,
so it's
but she's only... It's my understanding, and I could be wrong, that she's only being played in Abzan.
Pretty much, and maybe some Sultai control decks are using her. Not necessarily as a finisher, but
that's my point. She's not gonna last. The next block's gonna come out, and she's gonna get replaced because she's good in Abzan.
Well, that and actually, I think they've already spoiled that this is going to be one of the planeswalkers in Battle for Zendikar too. So
yeah, she's good in Abzan. She is not good. There are no decks being built
around
to
her.
Take advantage of what she does.
Whereas,
some people tried, but they were shitty.
Whereas on the other hand, Jace, going back to how Jace is broken as fuck, decks are actually being built around Jace to make Jace
exactly.
Work. And
exactly. It turns out Chandra is a lot worse than we thought she was.
Chandra is even though Chandra actually did make a top 8 Pro Tour Magic Origins appearance, yeah, I'm not a Chandra believer.
I thought she was going to be played like Nissa's being played. I thought she was going to get mixed in to some good deck, and she didn't really.
The one that I'm really surprised on is Gideon. I thought Gideon would be all over the place, and as of right now, Gideon is not. In fact, Gideon is the only planeswalker of the 5 that has not had a Star City Games feature match yet.
Well, I think that's because people underestimate blue-white prowess? Blue-white heroic? I don't remember. The blue-white deck that does...
Heroic deck.
Yeah, heroic. That's it. The blue-white heroic deck. I think he would be perfect in that deck. Or he would be really good in Jeskai... What's it? Jeskai Ascendancy? Yeah.
Maybe some sort of a Jeskai token.
But nobody's playing those right now.
No, and
that doesn't mean he's not good. It means they're not playing those decks.
I would say, and Liliana, I expected more decks to actually be playing Liliana, but the decks that are playing it, especially the one we're going to talk about in a bit, I am so happy to see her getting played like this because the way they have set this up is perfect. It's
yeah. All right, so we're talking about artifacts. Artifacts are back. Most of this deck, I shit you not, I was playing when the block switched.
See, and the cool thing is there have actually been 2 really good artifact decks. Going back to Pro Tour Magic Origins, actually the runner-up was playing blue-red artifacts. And it has pretty much everything that you would expect. It has Ensoul Artifact.
Thopter.
It has the Ornithopter in there.
Ornithopter, it has... Oh, fuck, what is it called?
Ghostfire Blade is in there, even though it's not...
Shrapnel Blast.
Shrapnel
Blast. That's the combo, is Ornithopter, Shrapnel Blast, Ensoul Artifact.
Yeah.
Springleaf Drum, but whatever.
However, there are 2 big cards in the blue-red Ensoul deck that did very well this past weekend. One, which got a little bit of press beforehand, thanks to one Jeff Hooglin that we'll talk about in a moment. But the first one is Hangerback Walker. It's the XX, comes in with X number of counters on it. You can pay 1 and tap it to add a counter, and whenever it dies, it gets Thopters equal to the number of counters on it.
Yeah.
So,
and I thought he wasn't going to be as good as he was because he's XX.
But oh my gosh, it's even if you play him on turn 2, a turn 2 1/1 is not the worst thing in the world, especially since it's a 1/1 that when it dies, it gives you another 1/1.
Yeah.
So a flying 1/1 at that. So it's still not the worst thing in the world. But the fact that you can play it and keep making it stronger throughout the game and everything else is just insane.
Yeah.
On top of that, I think if you Insult Artifact it, you still have the ability to activate that ability on it.
Yes, you do.
And keep putting counters on it as well.
Yes, you do. And that was the part of it that I missed. The deck I was building. Okay, the deck I ran in Origins, or before pre-Origins, that was this deck. Instead of Hangerback Walker, I had the artifact that when you blew it up, he dealt 6 damage to your opponent.
Oh, Scuttling Doom Engine, yes.
Scuttling Doom Engine instead of Hangerback Walker. Exact same deck. No joke. Same fucking deck. I saw that deck come in second in the Pro Tour, and I was so pissed I stopped playing it.
I would say, well, the main thing is this deck, the blue-red and soul deck, is actually a aggro deck. I mean, it's an aggro deck full.
It's a turn 3 deck. This is the turn 3 fuck you I was playing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and so
it's
really
so good. But the thing is that Hangerback Walker makes it. It just totally makes it. You would stall half the time, and that's why I stopped playing it. Was half the time you'd stall, and Hangerback Warrior fits right into the stall.
It does, absolutely. And it makes it where, I mean, okay, so your control opponent has a board wipe.
Go for it.
knock yourself out with it. It's like, not a problem.
Take the deck, take the cards, fuck off.
One of the other, and this is kind of one of the lesser known cards from Magic Origins, is actually in the blue, red, and soul deck that also makes it very well, is, and I forgot to put it on this list here, is Chief of the Foundry. It's a 3-mana 3/3 that says all other artifact creatures get +1/+1.
Yep.
So turn 2, you would soul something. Turn 3, you play this. So now you have a 6/6. Swing.
I'm sorry. You swung on turn 2, because on turn 1 you dropped the Ornithopter, and that's what you fucking insulted. So on turn 2 you swung for 6. Turn 3 you swung for another 6, and then you blow that fucker up and deal another 5, and they're almost dead.
They're dead. It's over.
6, 12, 17, almost. Close enough.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, this deck is going to be one of the, I honestly think this is going to be a premier deck going forward. It'll be very interesting when Battle for Zendikar comes out, because unfortunately, Shrapnel Blast, I think, is M15, so it's going to rotate out. But
yeah,
I still, and so will Soul Artifact, unfortunately, as well. So
I think they're just going to put him back.
It'll be nice if they put it back in Battle for Zendikar. However, the kind of thing that sort of led to kind of the prerequisite for this deck was actually on the Star City circuit, and it was done by Jeff Hewlin week 1 after Magic Origins was released. And he did a blue-white control deck, which had Hangerback Walker in there. But the other card that it had, which is very interesting, is Thopter Spy Network. Is like, now, oh, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
Okay, for those who don't know, Thopter Network is a 2 colorless, 2 blue enchantment that during your upkeep you get to drop a Thopter onto the board, and then every time an artifact you control deals damage, you get to draw a card.
Well, sorry, one little caveat to that: you have to control an artifact already. But considering,
you get during your upkeep, you get an artifact. It's impossible to not have an artifact unless they board wipe in the middle of your turn.
Well, I say, but to even get the first one, you have to have at least a artifact. So the way that he was
Thopter, you have to.
Yeah, when
I ran into it, the dude had a Thopter, so it was impossible to get rid of the fucking Thopters.
Yeah, and see, the way
that's all I remember was I couldn't stop the Thopters.
The way that Jeff Hewlin was using it was he was doing a traditional blue-white control shell, but he had Darksteel Citadel, which is a artifact, a colorless artifact.
Land, indestructible. Yep.
And so that means he always had the artifact for Thopter Spy Network to start printing stuff out. So, and then the other part of it is whenever it deals damage, you draw a card, which of course for any control player, that's like love number 1 is, I get to draw cards for free? Like, okay, I could do this. So I've heard people describe this as the better Bitter Blossom, which if you don't play a lot of Modern, Bitter Blossom, 1 black, you lose a life, but you get a 1/1 flying fairy token at the start of your every upkeep. So this new one, you don't lose life. You still get a flying creature. It's not a fairy, but still. And whenever a artifact creature deals damage, you get to draw a card. It's like it literally is
Every time.
Every time. And it's like now you only get to draw one regardless of how many artifact creatures hit the opponent, but still, getting to draw a card is pretty damn good. So, I can see both these playing into different types of things. As I said, I think blue-red artifacts, which is actually, as of before the Pro Tour, it was still a budget deck. Now, afterwards, don't quote me on it, but it's
not.
Probably not anymore. But
no, it's not. It's not. It's oh my god, it's not.
It's like,
I'm lucky I was trying to put it together, not knowing that somebody was playing with it. I'm putting the deck back together.
I was like, well, and hangerbacks I think are now up to like $15. They were
20.
pre-ordering for like $1.
20. Yeah, they're
Anyway.
20.
So,
If you speculated on hangerbacks, good job. I was trying to get them when they were $1 and I couldn't find any. I picked them up for $10 and now they're 20.
So, all right. So, well, Abzan did make an appearance this past weekend at
Of
Pro
course
Tour
it did.
Origins. It put 2 decks in the top 8, which, considering everything, that's about the least amount it's done in quite some time, I think. So,
yes, it has. That's true.
Bravo for that, at least.
Because it played Languish instead of Bile-Blight.
Probably. It's like, yeah, because I think Bile-Blight would definitely take care of some Doctor tokens.
Yeah, maybe.
Is like, assuming they're not ensouled.
That's what Abzan Charm is for.
That's exactly what Abzan Charm is for.
They didn't play Bile-Blight. Fucking idiots. Alright, moving on.
So, anyway, as I said, I think one of the decks, I think the Abzan Control deck, that was one of the ones that was running Nissa, but again, neither here nor there. Now, the last new kind of deck that I want to talk about from Magic Origins was one that did very well in the Star City circuit. I think there were a couple people who were playing it at the Pro Tour, but not a lot. And it's Rally the Ancestors. And
tell people what this card does again.
Okay, so Rally the Ancestors is a card, I think if I remember correctly, I think it's from M15 or maybe Khans of Tarkir. Give me 1 second. I gotta actually look the card up.
No, it doesn't matter. Let's go.
All right, but anyway, what it says is it's a X white spell, I think. And it says return each creature from your graveyard with converted mana cost less than X to the battlefield.
It's white and black.
Huh?
It's white and black.
Rally the Ancestors is?
I'm pretty sure.
I think it's white. I may be wrong.
Anyway, let's just go.
Anyway, so
one of us is wrong.
It's like return back every creature with converted mana cost X or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. Then exile those creatures at the beginning of the next upkeep. At the beginning of your next upkeep. So this is an instant card that you can actually bring back during either your opponent's turn, or if you have a way to give stuff haste, you can do it on your turn.
Mm-hmm.
So. Now,
bring back the Sea Drino! Bring back the Sea Drino!
Well, believe it or not, actually, the original versions of the Rally the Ancestors deck that were around during like Dragons of Tarkir, they were actually trying to do Sea Drino. The problem is that costs 6 mana to do that.
That's true.
And so, there was a card that was reprinted in Magic Origins called Nantuko Husk. Now, Nantuko Husk is, I think it's a 2 black. It's a 2/2 that says sacrifice a creature. Nantuko Husk gets +2/+2 until the end of turn.
I hate that card. Unlimited. I fucking hate that card.
It's like, so here's the way that the deck was working. It was using Nantuko Husk, Rally the Ancestors, as well as a card from Theros Black called Mogus's Marauders. Mogus's Marauder said,
this deck is combo-y as fuck.
It is convoluted, but it's amazing what it can actually do, though.
I said combo-y, but yeah, convoluted is a good word.
It is very combo-y, too. So, converted mana cost, equal to your devotion, you can give that many creatures haste and intimidate. So, the idea was to bring everything back during your turn, have the trigger for Mogus's Marauder go to Nantuko Husk. And then at this point, you start sacrificing all the stuff to Nantuko Husk.
Yep.
And then swing in trying to kill the opponent. Now, if for some reason you're not able to actually kill the opponent in that one giant big swing of a 25-25 thing hitting you, if by chance you don't do that, this is where the other thing that Nantuko Husk comes into play. Is Nantuko Husk usually said most things that these days in Magic that say sacrifice something, it says sacrifice another creature. Nantuko Husk does not say that. So technically, you can sacrifice Nantuko Husk to its own ability.
Yep.
And it will technically get +2/+2, even though the creature will be gone and there was nothing there. So the way that this works is the other part of Rally of the Ancestors, where it says exile it, it doesn't say exile it regardless of where it's located. It's only exile it if it remains on the battlefield. So you can literally exile, or you can sacrifice everything to Nantuko Husk to get it back in the graveyard, and then rally the Ancestors again to get everything back. It was amazing to watch on camera the stuff that this deck was doing. On top of that, this is actually one of the decks that kind of Jace was built up around. Because, again, Merfolk Leader, you can start throwing stuff in the graveyard. You can also give Jace haste as well, so even if you bring it back as a creature from the graveyard, you can flip it to its Planeswalker side, and it will never exile to Rally the Ancestor. Same thing with Liliana, actually, too, is that you can bring Liliana creature back, and sacrifice something to Nantuko Husk to trigger the flip ability on Lily. Get that as a Planeswalker, too. So... And then at that point, it's even possible, say, you sacrifice the Mogus's Marauder, you can -3 Lily to bring back the Mogus's Marauder and give more stuff haste. So it's a convoluted combo deck, but it's a really good deck. I'm actually surprised it did not get more play at Pro Tour Magic Origins, but it's probably a very complicated combo deck.
It's because it's a combo deck. Combo decks are only good when they're played by people who understand combo decks. And just because you're a pro Magic player doesn't mean you're good at combo decks. They're really hard.
They are really hard. And this one takes a lot of setup. It takes a lot to set up. It takes
you
a lot.
You fuck up once
and actually the very first deck that they had, the very first time they featured the Rally of the Ancestors deck on Star City Games Open a couple weeks ago, the guy was in his upkeep. He was going to try to rally in his upkeep. However, he made a mistake because there were 2 Satyr Wayfinders in the graveyard. And so he had to mill all those cards over before he drew his card. Well, he ended up milling his library out. And so he lost the game because, well, he didn't have a card to draw.
Yeah.
So it's a very complicated deck, but it was one of the most fun decks to watch. Kind of seeing it go from 5-color to Sultai or Abzan, I think the one that ends up actually winning the Open was very interesting. But it's something that I could definitely see getting abused a little bit more before stuff goes out. So, and it definitely brings up some new interesting options for some sort of graveyard type decks, especially considering we're going to be losing like Whip of Erebos soon and a bunch of other stuff. So. Hornet Queen's going to be leaving us, thank God.
Yeah, fucking finally.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see kind of the decks that come up out of this. So, and I'm hoping we'll see some new decks even this weekend, kind of in response to Pro Tour Magic Origins. Is like, I personally, and I'm going to try to do a little research on it. I sort of want to make either a Jeskai in Soul deck or a Grixis in Soul Artifact deck. That way you get access to black for, Thoughtseize or better kill spells than what blue and red have. It's like, so it would definitely be interesting to see some kind of different options as to what could possibly be available for that type of deck. But
we'll see. I hope, honestly, it doesn't get to see a lot of play. I know I'm going to see it because I got a friend at the shop who, that's all he does is combo decks. Fucking jank-ass shit. And that's why I'm saying, combo decks, you got to be a combo player. Combo players can do jank-ass shit that will win when nobody expects it to.
I'm about to say, and if you play a Splinter Twin deck in Modern, that doesn't make you a combo deck player. Because twin decks are control decks that just happen to have a combo in it.
Yeah.
Land it.
combo deck
not a
is where
combo
you
deck.
win with one combo, and you have to set up the entire time to get that one combo.
Yeah. So,
Anyway, that's going to be it for the show this week. Thank you for listening.
Yep.
And we're sorry it's been such a long time since you've heard from us.
yes, it's like.
Hopefully we will cut that out, hopefully.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, hopefully, yeah. Well, we're going to get back to a little bit more regular schedule. The place I'm working right now is, I think they're already basically looking to offer me a job after this contract ends, so thankfully no more cross-country moves, hopefully.
Good.
And so,
We'll see how it goes, but hopefully
so.
you'll just hear more from us.
Yes, absolutely.
So we are on the Twitters. I'm at Janaelle5, Janaelle, and the number 5. The show is at AWC Podcast. Will is at...
I am at Red Hawk Will. You can also find the show at AWC, or you can email the show at awcpodcast@gmail.com.
Email us if that one card, if it's white or if it's white and black. Tell us if we're wrong. Ask us a question. Let us know something you want us to talk about, and we'll talk about it.
I'll say, and I think with the discussion, especially we had about the player who got banned for his history, his past crimes and everything else, I think that would be a very interesting topic. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Kind of, I mean, are we completely off? Was Wizards, wrong for doing this? I don't think either one of us think so, but we would definitely love to hear your thoughts about it. So
absolutely. Now, if you want to keep hearing us week after week, you can support the show. We're on SoundCloud. Give us a like there and a repost. We're on Stitcher. Thumbs up, please. We are also on YouTube. Give us a comment and a like. All that helps support the show just by getting more people to watch. The more people we get to watch, the more good things happen. Now, there's a really big way you can help support the show, and that's through our sponsor, boltsnapbolt.net. Will, it does a blog on boltsnapbolt.net, so he will tell you all about that.
Yes, absolutely. Boltsnapbolt.net is an awesome Magic community website. We actually have monthly giveaways right now for top commenters, giving away packs of Magic Origins or whatever the current set is. As well, so definitely get involved with that. That's where you'll find my blog, Force of Will. This week I'm going to be talking about sort of post Pro Tour Magic Origin decks. What can kind of some ideas for different decks I have that I could see going forward. So definitely check it out this week. Big way also you can support us is we have a Puka Trade link on the website. If you click that Puka Trade link, it will set you up on Puka Trade, which will allow you to trade Magic cards with pretty much anybody in the entire world. You send out cards, you collect Puka points, you get the cards that you actually want. So hit us up there, hit us through that. You'll definitely be supporting the show financially going through that referral link.
And we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, next week.